Hello and welcome to Monster Mash. Here we are in October and all month is going to be celebrating Snap Hoop Monsters. We are just delighted to do this. It's our favorite product here at Dime, right? Those Snap Hoop Monsters. And I think it's some of yours. Here we have Jennifer Alexander who says she has 3 Snap Hoop Monsters for her machine. And she loves them. And let's see, she loved them and used them more than the hoops that came with her machine. Oh, me too. Yeah, we're always trying to find, where are those gray hoops? They're here somewhere. But anyway, we love our monster hoops. And today we're going to show you how to hoop terry cloths and T-shirts and quilts. And, we're going to talk all about monsters. So let's just see what some of you have been up to. Let's see. We welcome Cheryl Goddard from Arizona. Nice to have you here. Creative Applique says it's her favorite time of year, Monster Madness, that's a good one too. And there's Cecilia, hello from Kansas City. Go Chiefs, right? Lots of commotion going on with the Chiefs right now with the Swiftie and Jason or Kelsey. Oh gosh, whatever. I'm blowing that. Let's see. Hi, Kathy Colvin. It's great to have you here. It's raining up there in Minnesota. We had some rain last night here in Texas. That's pretty rare. We haven't had that all summer, so we're happy to see it. So in today's program, we are going to be talking about several things about Snap Hoop Monsters. First is, how do I hoop in a magnetic hoop? Why doesn't an 8x8 design fit in an 8x8 hoop? And also, how can I hoop in a Snap Hoop Monster? So I'm going to kind of walk you through all of those things and answer your questions, because I know we have a lot of Snap Hoop lovers out there, and maybe you have a question or two. So let's take a look at our next thing. Now, we're not going to answer those questions in that specific order, but I did want to share with you that, when we say it's Monster Mash and Monster Madness, well, that's all month long. So you can watch this live program just during the live right on our website, and all of the products that are on sale will be right underneath the video window. So if you find that more convenient than watching on Facebook or YouTube, just jump over to dzgns.com and then you can shop right there. So I want to share with you a little bit about Monster Mash. So let's go ahead. Isn't that fun? Like I said, all hoops are on sale all month. So we're going to start on Monster Hoop. We'll do a little bit on a sticky hoop, but before we get into the actual hooping, the number one question we get here at Dime through our customer service department is, what size is my hoop? And, that kind of, baffles us because we're not holding their hoop. We don't know what they bought. So we figured that it might be helpful to create a chart for everybody to use. So let's go ahead and take a look at that chart. And in it, we have, and you can access this, I'll give you the links on where you can find it. So we have this is kind of our code number, our LM13 and so forth. And then we have the item number. When you're shopping or you're selling machine retailer, that's how they order, by that number. And then we have the description. So a Baby Lock Brother is a 4x4 basic hoop. And that's what Brother and Baby Lock call that hoop. But its actual sewing field measurement is not 4 inches. It's 3.94 by 3.94. But it is an exact square. And in the metric system, it's 100 by 100. Now, The side, that's the sewing field. And when you buy a hoop, you are buying by sewing field. So let's take a look at that little chart up here. The sewing field is the area that the foot can travel around and fill with embroidery. The interior measurement of the hoop is from, edge to edge, width, length, and and that's the actual opening of the hoop, but it will not sew an embroidery design that is that actual size. The foot needs some clearance, right, to get around the embroidery design and not hit the frame. And of course, that's the same whether you're using the Snap Hoop Monster or you're using a standard embroidery hoop. So we have included the interior measurements in this chart so that if you don't know really what size hoop you bought, all you have to do is measure your hoop, and you can use metric or you can use inches, and then that will determine what hoop you purchase. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you how we measure here. And I have a 6x10 hoop right here and a measuring tape. And I'm just going to literally, run that measuring tape across the interior, and that's 12 1/8. And then on the width, it is 7 1/4. So that's the dimension of a 6x10 hoop. So let's go back over to, let me kind of get some of this out of the way. Keep it clean so that I don't get all confused like I did last week. So if we pop over into this PDF, and this is what you'll find on our website, you can see down here all of everything that I just discussed, right? The code number, the SKU, the item number, description, and here's your width and length in both metric and inches. Now, many years ago, right? Machine embroidery started in the commercial world. As sewists, we did not have the ability to do hooped embroidery or computerized embroidery on a sewing machine. So computerized embroidery started in the commercial world, and their hoops are by centimeter. They're not metric and they're not inches. So they are centimeters. And then when the hoops or the machines became available to the home user, one of the companies, like Baby Lock and Brother, they decided, now I'm not a spokesperson for either company and I didn't call them up and ask, but I've been a witness to this whole process for over 25 years. And so they name their hoops 5x7, 4x4, 8x8, which is common language that Americans can relate to. It doesn't always transfer perfectly, but we'll get to that in a moment. So if we scroll down this chart and we take a look at Genomi's, their title that they often call their hoops, they use both metric and they also use the imperial system. But Pfaff and Viking only use metric. So their 120 is a 120 by 120, and that's the actual sewing field size. And they don't even bother with the inch conversion. You have to do that in your head. Okay, and maybe that's a little confusing to you. So let me pop back over to PowerPoint, and I'm going to show you where you can download this. Chart. So we have it in two places on our website. One is the frequently asked questions, the FAQ page, and the other one is all about hoops. So you can go to shop/pages/FAQ or all about hoops. And that PDF is there for you to either refer to, or you can print it out and have it, in your sewing room. Okay, so what's next? Well, let's see. I think our next topic is, why doesn't the 8x8 design fit in my 8x8 hoop? But I think before I do that, I was supposed to, no, maybe not. Okay, let's just, so an 8x8 does not convert into the actual sewing field. So let's take a look at, if you're wondering, How you can figure this out before you get to the machine, one easy way is to use our embroidery tool shed, which is that free program that any of you can download and use, have it on your computer, open up an embroidery design in the embroidery tool shed, and then you can click on the hoop icon and select the hoop that you want to use. And it will show you both the perimeter of the snap hoop monster and the sewing field. And we also have standard embroidery hoops in that page. So you don't have to use snap hoop, but you know, obviously if you have snap hoop, then you can. So let me pop into software, and I want to show you the difference of, here we have a 6x6 and an 8x8. And right now, my measurement system that I'm using in my software is inches. And I can go over to this transform tab, and here you can see what size the embroidery design is. Since this blue quilting design is selected, that is my 6x6. If I select my 8x8, notice that it changes to 7.88, and that's because I already shrunk it. So right now, I'm going to take my cursor and left click on the ruler at the top of the screen, or right click on that ruler and then select metric. And now my measurement is in metric. So I'm just going to take out that one because I guess I was playing in here earlier. So just forgive me for not being all set up. Okay, so we'll apply that. And then when I switch over to inches, that's where you can see the difference, 7.87, 7.87. That's why an 8x8 design will not work in a 8x8 hoop. So that language that we use here at Dime, like 8x8, is, you know, language that we inherited from Brother and Baby Lock and all of the machine manufacturers. You know, they were not always precise. They used as close to the inch translation as made sense. You'll notice as time has gone on, they've gotten more precise in their titles, right? So like the 9.5 by 9.5 is truly a 9.5 by 9.5, a 10 and a quarter is and 10 by 16 is more precise. But I just want many of you to understand, because it is, you know, it's a challenge for sure. And many people are confused, and that's what we get in our customer service. They don't, you know, lots of folks, maybe they're new to embroidery, or we just assume, you know, if I have a hoop that measures 12 inches, I think I can do a 12-inch design. Well, no, you can do a 10-inch design, right? Or whatever the default area around the sewing field is. So let's pop back over to PowerPoint, and so we've gone over what size is my hoop, and this is where you can find it. We've been through all this. So let's see. Now, the next thing we want to do is, how do I hoop in Snap Hoop Monster? So that's what I'm going to do next. But before I do that, let me see what kind of questions we have. Okay, so where is the chart located? You I showed you that slide. It's over in the frequently asked questions, and so let's see, just ordered a Janome 8 hoop from your local quilt shop. Fingers crossed that you can edge-to-edge quilt with this on your Janome 550. Absolutely, Dawn, you most certainly can. I want you to come back here and report and tell us how great it turned out. We have confidence that you will be able to quilt edge-to-edge on that new Janome hoop. So let's head over and let's take a look at, another big question we get about hoops is a magnetic hoop going to hurt my machine? And, I told you I've been a witness to this industry for 25 years. Well, back then, 25 years ago, we were told, do not place a magnetic hoop, a magnetic pin cushion near your machine. And that was good advice, because at that time, we were carrying cell phones in a tote bag that was about, 8 by 12 inches. And, there was not a lot of insulation around the brain of that cell phone. So imagine the exposure that the brain in those first home embroidery machines had. And that's why we were instructed not to have a magnetic device near a a computerized embroidery machine. Well, things sure have evolved, right? So today I have a cell phone, that's this size. My whole world is in there, everything, thousands of photographs and contacts and files and so forth. So I just want to show you what happens when you put a pair of scissors on the bottom of the magnetic frame. Of course, the bottom is the area where the magnets are located. It stays right in place, right? Just as you would expect it to. But when you hoop something, and I'm just going to put terry cloth towel in between, and you have your top frame aligned with your bottom frame, right? And then we try to put those scissors on there. They're not going to stay. They will fall right off of, as you can see, they're just going to fall right. They're kind of catching a little bit, but it's not the same strength that you would have without that bottom frame. So the magnetic force is stopped by the metal frame, and that's what's holding those two surfaces together, is that magnetic field and capturing your fabric in between. And so let's see, Colleen Emmerich, you are asking about a pacemaker and a defibrillator. Well, we are not doctors here, and so we always encourage you to ask your physician about his recommendations. I can tell you that your embroidery machine, your cell phone, many of the devices in your house have magnets in them. That's how a lot of this computerized technology works today. And so, and personally, we had a gentleman here in our company who worked here and walked through that warehouse on a regular basis, and he had a pacemaker and he was fine. But that's, again, I'm not a doctor. So, okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and hoop a left chest embroidery in a 4x4 hoop. So here we have, of course, our dime template is already on there. I have our no-show mesh fused onto the design area. When I'm doing knit fabric in our Snap Hoop Monster, I always fuse a stabilizer to the wrong side. I find that gives the strength to the fabric, adds that strength to the fabric that I need during the hooping and stitching process. And then I don't have to worry about the layers shifting. So I'm just going to insert that metal frame, the bottom frame, into the garment, and I'm going to lay this on a flat surface. Now, we do have our totally tubular hooping station, which is so helpful for tubular items. But today we're just going to talk about flat hoops. So here we have, I can feel my frame around the design area. And I could feel it's a little too close. So I'm just going to move that over a little bit, get that centered a little bit better. And then I take my top frame and place it perpendicular to the bottom frame and then drop it in place. And I align those two edges. Now, depending on what machine I'm on, I have, machines that have the ability to rotate, to scan, to do all kinds of stuff that can find this design. But if you don't have that, then you could use, our perfect alignment laser or our totally tubular hooping station, so to make sure that you're perfectly square in the hoop. Now, I will tell you, when you are using a design that's smaller than the sewing field, you have a lot of wiggle room, right? And that makes it easier to hoop. Okay. Now let's move over to this is kind of a fun garment. Again, this is a t-shirt that's got some silk screen on it. And, it's a little boring, right? Well, I could jazz that up with some sunflowers that could stitch right into the center of those flowers. And then that silk screen becomes an outline, right? Just an outline. And, because it's circular, because they're circular designs, they're pretty easy to just kind of nail in the center. And, they're not going to be perfectly hitting each point of those petals because, they're flowers, right? They're never all symmetrical on a flower, any kind of flower. Okay, so then we're going to take our 5x7 hoop and same technique. I'm just going to insert that bottom frame. Now I want to feel if that, if all those flowers are going to fit in that frame. And not so much right here, right? So look, I can get 1 and 2, but probably not 3. So a couple of things I could do. I could do 2 hoopings, or I can just rotate my fabric, or my hoop actually, right? And get it to go in the opposite orientation. And then I'm just kind of moving my fabric to feel if my flowers are going to fit in that frame. I can feel my attachment. I'm a little close over there. All right. And now we'll just perpendicular to the attachment. It's not a solid rule, but it does kind of help. Keeps everything aligned and so forth. And now I'm nice and square in that hoop, and I'm going to be able to put this on the machine. Of course, I'm going to lift it and then nest the fabric over top. I always make sure the sleeves are turned wrong side out because I don't want to catch a sleeve underneath the hoop. And then when I take this to the machine, I'm going to make sure that I'm rotating my design in the proper orientation. That's what the arrow is telling me on the template. So I'll select my sunflower and make sure it's rotated in that fashion. And then stitch each one by one, and then remove the template as I stitch. So super easy to do, super easy to do. Love those t-shirts. Okay, let's see. Les and Cindy Osborne. So she says that she loves her magnetic hoop for edge-to-edge quilting. Best investment I think I've ever made in regards to machine embroidery accessories. Wow, is that an endorsement? Thank you so much. I absolutely have to agree. I mean, you can't, in my opinion, you really can't quilt with an embroidery machine without a magnetic hoop. You can, it's just going to take you a lot longer, and you may experience some frustration of the inner ring popping out of the outer ring. So I agree. It is a great investment. And, it's one that you'll use over and over again. You absolutely will. Okay, so now we've done a 4x4 and a 5x7. Now let's go ahead and move over to a jacket back, right? So here we have a denim jacket. This is a really beautiful denim jacket. Well, depends on who you're talking to, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I love this jacket. It's got a frayed edge on the bottom. And personally, I think my husband's embarrassed to walk with me when I wear it, but I love that jacket. It's one of my favorites. Okay, so one of the challenges of a jacket back, especially a denim jacket back, right, is, the big expanse. And then we have these welded seams, these heavy multiple layers of denim. Well, a snap hoop monster can just slide right over that. So we're going to take I have an 8x8 hoop, and I'm going to slide it underneath. And again, I'm going to feel my hoop, make sure I'm kind of square, right? I can feel that my frame is up here. So I'm going to go ahead and place that metal frame, which I could feel right here, below the yoke. And now, this is why it's good to do that perpendicular thing, right? That really helps you get lined up. Sometimes, I wing it and I don't do that, but it does really help you get lined up. So I didn't do such a great job. I'm not so sure my template's on here straight. I should have done a better job of making sure this was parallel with my yoke. But there I am. I mean, pretty easy to do. Now I can pick this up, right? And I can go right over to the machine. So how do we handle moving a garment like this to the machine? Well, first thing I would do is, again, I'm going to get those sleeves and I'm going to turn them wrong side out. And why I do that is because now that sleeve can extend away from the body of the jacket, right? And I can keep an eye on it. If they're not turned inside out, they can often get caught underneath the sewing area. So then I'm going to take my magnet shield. Now remember, folks, these come with your hoop. And they're not just shipping material, believe me. They are what we call the magnet shield. And we have included them with the intention that you keep them and you place them between the two frames for storage, because then it makes it easier to separate the top from the bottom. And this is also a great carrier for when I'm going to the machine. So now I've placed everything all over the hoop, but I'm nice and safe because I'm supported on the bottom with that magnetic shield. So that makes it really easy to then go to the machine. Of course, you're going to take your time. You got to get that attachment on. You also have to then unnest everything right at the machine so that you can have an open sewing field, but easy enough. And look at that embroidery design. If you love that design, that's the flower collection from the hand sketched flowers from Reen Wilcoxon. And you can get that from Reen or you can get it from us. Let's see. So Joan Shriver wants to know, if your design were a little higher, your neckline is in the hoop. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay if your neckline is in the hoop. And I'll show you that, okay? I have some of that. Let's see. Carolyn Booth, she says she loves the hand floral collection. I know, it's really pretty. Natalie Bush, where does that come from? Well, one of our team members will type in. I usually tell them ahead of time what collections I'm going to show, and I neglected to do that this morning, so I apologize, but just give them a moment and they'll get that link up there for you. Oh yeah, let's see. And Jennifer Alexander, she has a good suggestion that you can use the shield halfway on top of the garment and slowly pull it out. Yeah, we do have video on that. I actually don't do that, so I can't really show you how to do that. And Ree Wilcoxon, she is the designer of that beautiful collection. That's our founder, the founder and owner of Embroidery Garden. She says you can't embroider a jean jacket without a snap hoop monster. Well, I agree. Sure is difficult. Sure is difficult. Oh, Pamela Mitchell, she purchased her first snap hoop monster 8 years ago. Yeah, still working strong for you, right? Yeah, we love it. Okay. All right, so let's see. We wanted to see about hooping near a neckline. All right, we could do that. Maybe. Yeah, I do have some. Yeah, I can show you that. Okay, so here, speaking of Reen, there's another one of her embroidery designs, I think in the border collection that I took into our software and played around with it and, created that design. So see, if you have software, you have a lot of freedom. Anyway, okay, so now let's go ahead and I'm going to take this, and I have a t-shirt that I can hoop in a sticky hoop, or I can show you how you can hoop this on a regular snap hoop monster. I'm going to bring my totally tubular over because that makes life so much easier. So we'll just slide this. I think we want the 8-inch board, right? Yeah. I mean the 13-inch board because we were working on an 8-inch hoop. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that metal frame in place. And normally, I would have perfect alignment laser attached to this totally tubular hooping station, but I wasn't really planning on showing you that technique today, so just bear with me. Okay, so I have my garment with my template right at that neckline, right? Well, I'm not going to be able to get that all hooped, right? Because we have this big scoop, wide, deep scoop opening. So that's all right. What I would do for sure is, and I don't have any stabilizer on here, I would have my no-show mesh fused on the wrong side of the garment area and extending all the way into the neckline. So my stabilizer would come to this area. And then when I go to dress my totally tubular and my hoop, so you just have to bear with me and imagine, right, that stabilizer was here because it would just give it more stability and more, more of a foundation. And then I'm just going to hoop it like that. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to make sure it's aligned first. So as you can see, I don't have anything here between the metal frame and the top frame, right? So it's really going to snap together. Not one of my favorite things. That's why I like to have a stabilizer there. But there we go. Now we're nice and hooped. And of course, remember, I would have stabilizer out here. Now when I go to the machine, I am ready to just unnest because I'm going to nest this, right? I'm going to kind of pull it off of the totally tubular a little bit so I can get those sleeves turned wrong side out and the back of the garment on top of the garment, because that's key, right? And this is a skinny t-shirt. I think I wore it one time, that sample that's already stitched. And then I looked in the mirror, I'm like, yeah, I can't wear that. Okay, so all this is a little awkward, but it's what you got to do, right? And then we go over to the machine and we nest it, right? We have all this above the machine and we're able to just stitch. We're going to move the garment and the hoop with the shield underneath, and easy to get onto the machine. And when I do, I kind of flatten all this out so I can get underneath the foot, and then right at the machine, I open it. Make sure the orientation of the embroidery design is going in the right direction, because here I'm going to turn this around for you. And this is if you were sitting at the machine, here's my attachment, right? So that would be upside down. I would have to rotate this design 180 and then I'd be good to stitch. Okay, so that's how you would do that without getting the, right? You're not in the field of the t-shirt. You're up right at the edge, unlike that left chest where we had nothing but knit fabric in our hoop. But up here, you would be extending beyond the fabric. Okay. What else is next? Oh, well, now we can move into quilting. Everybody's favorite thing, my favorite thing, and maybe. Let's see. Oh, Dana from Australia. Welcome. Lovely to have you here down under. Thank you. Oh, and you, Jennifer Alexander, you like my shirt? Yep, that's my hoop dress. Love this dress. So much fun. Whenever it's Monster Mash, that's what we do. Okay, I'm going to move our totally tubular and bring out a quilt. Oh, wait till you see this adorable fabric. I mean, really adorable fabric. How cute is that? Can you stand it? I don't know whose it is. I don't know, but it's adorable. And I went to my good friend Christine Connor and found a, edge-to-edge design, her A and B's, right? And I guess I did the A here. So let's go ahead and get that lined up so you can see. Yep, here's my first design. I stitched that and I repeated it down there. And now it's time to stitch B. So B goes right next to A, right? So what are we trying to do here? So I'm going to just move this down so you get a little closer under the camera. And the whole idea about edge to edge, right, is connecting stitch to stitch. We want to connect this previous line of stitching. Remember, this has already been stitched down there. And I want to connect it to this new design. So I'm going to place my template right there. Get my hand out of the way. And now I know that if I actually am able to connect this at the machine, it's going to look like a continuous line of stitching all the way across the surface of my quilt. So I have my, this design fits in a 6x10 hoop, as we can see. Look at all that ample room, right? Here's my design. Now remember, always when you're edge-to-edge quilting, set yourself up for a success by using a hoop that's bigger than the design. You want to definitely have wiggle room. I know we've often been told that it's best to have the smallest hoop available for an embroidery design. You'll get the, the most stabilization of the fabric. Well, that is true on most embroidery, but really not on quilting. First off, with quilting, you're going to have top fabric, batting, and backing. And you're just doing running stitches. Nothing's lining up. There's no outlines, none of that. So you don't really have to have all that crucial stabilization that you do on traditional embroidery. So make it easy on yourself. This is a tiny little quilt, but on a real quilt, you're going to do 50 hoopings. So if you use a hoop that's smaller, that's larger than your design, that allows you to advance the quilt and set up for the next design really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to slide this underneath. Now, normally this would happen right at the machine. And then I just take my top frame, place it perpendicular, and drop it into position. And, I can fit this in there. I think I'd feel a little bit more comfortable if I slid it over a little bit. So no harm, no foul. That's the beauty of quilting with your embroidery machine. You are just advancing the fabric ever so slightly. You're not, it's not like hooping those t-shirts that we just did, right? There we go. And now we just want to make sure that's all aligned, nice and square. And now we're ready to go and stitch that design. So let's see, Pamela Mitchell asked, are the clear placement stickers new? Well, they're kind of new. I think we introduced them in the summer or maybe in the spring. And yeah, are they fabulous or what? They are just about translucent. And here, I'll show you a close-up of them on my hand so you can get a better look. Yeah, look how nice and clear they are. So, you can print in color. They go through laser. They go through inkjets. You get 25 in a pack, I'm pretty sure, for $19.99. And of course, I printed this in our embroidery toolshed, our free software, which gives me the ability to add that crosshair so I know exactly where I'm going, right? That's what's so important. So that's edge-to-edge quilting. Of course, it's a little bit more involved, right, when you're at the machine and you're really doing a big quilt. And we'll be doing that later in the month, I'm sure. But that's as easy as it can be, right? Isn't that adorable fabric? Don't you all just love that? Okay. All right, next up is one more thing to hoop, and that is a little bit bigger hoop, which can be a challenge, right? But let me see if there's any questions first before we do that. Let's see. Hello from Minnesota, Cindy Lowe. Nice to have you here. And let's see, such a cute quilt. They are cute. Love the dogs and the flowers, and Philbeck. They're adorable. Yeah, they're so cute. You like the new Target paper? I know they are really, that new Target paper I just love, really, really love. And it's, it's really tacky. So you can use it over and over, like that on that doggy quilt that I just showed you. I can do a queen size quilt with one template, or if I'm doing Christine Connor's designs, Emily Scott designs, she always does A and B. So I'll have two templates, but I'm doing a column of A and then a column of B, and then, filling the whole quilt. Those two templates will last through the entire quilt and maybe even longer. So it's awesome. Okay, so what's next? Okay, well, speaking of quilting, we just celebrated Jelly Roll National Day, right? And lots of people love to quilt with jelly roll, or make quilts out of jelly rolls. They're super fun. And if you might want to use a giant hoop. So this is the Baby Lock Brother 9.5 by 14.25, or whatever it is. But it's a big hoop, right? It's a really big hoop. So just going to give you a little tip on aligning quilting designs in your embroidery machine. So, this is a lot of seams, right? And seams can really be your friend. Now, this is not really great piecing. As you can see, we got some curves going on, right? Like, look down here. We definitely have some curves. Not perfect quilting, but, all in all, it's okay. Now, notice my print also it's not square. So whoever made this jelly roll kit, they didn't cut the fabric on the print. Maybe they cut it on the grain. The print was off grain, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But what's important to you is most likely is to find a seam line that's going to work for you, and then run your embroidery design, your quilting design along that. And so one of the easy ways to do that is even without a template, and that is to use the centering guides that are on your hoop that you have attached. And of course, instructions on how to do that come with your hoop. And then just make sure that your seams are aligned with the same measure marks on the centering guide. So here, this seam is at the 7, just about at the 7. And here, it's right on the 7. So I'm going to bring this up to elevation a little bit more so you can get a closer look. And I want you to know that when you are quilting with your embroidery machine, I said on a queen size quilt or even a full size, you literally could do 50 hoopings. It's a lot of hoopings. So when you're doing edge to edge, first off, forgive yourself, right? Like this is pretty good. I'm just just under the 7-inch mark right there. And here I am right on the 7-inch mark. So if I was actually quilting this, I would go with it. I would say, oh, that's close enough. Nobody is ever going to see 50 hoopings. After you do all of that quilting, you will not be able to identify where you were off one. It's probably a millimeter. I mean, that's tiny. That's really tiny. But that's why we use centering rulers, whether they're inches or centimeter or millimeters, it doesn't matter. Even if there were no numbers here and they were just lines, then we would use that to just make sure that our seam lines are hitting the hoop at the same place. Then we know as we advance and continue to behave in that fashion, use that same method, then our quilting will be square on the hoop. And I think that's really what we want, right? Because we don't want one column to start in the center and then go off to the side and all of the quilting then becomes skewed. So that's no good. Okay, so that's pretty fun, huh? That's pretty fun. All those fun hoops and projects to stitch. So I don't really have anything else to hoop, but I do know that we have some fun things that are coming up pretty soon. And remember, it is Monster Mash month. And we lost our PowerPoint, I see. Okay, that's a problem. So here we go. We can bring it up like that. So all of the hoops, oh, poor Sheila D. Yeah, all of the hoops are on sale. So Sheila D says she really wishes there was a monster hoop for her Janome MC 9900. I understand, Sheila. I really do. But look at those hoops that come with your machine and notice where the attachment is on that hoop. It's so far away from, it's just a massive piece of plastic that's behind the hoop. And if that were metal, it would be too heavy for the machine. So that's why it's not there. Let's see. And Cheryl, yeah, you can definitely purchase additional centering guides. You bet. They're on our, right in our shopping cart. So, and we're going to be making some changes to our centering guides pretty soon. So really soon, actually. We'll learn about that next week for sure. But, okay, so let's see what is next. All hoops are on sale and you can watch and shop, right here. On DZG. And I said, you could do that every week. So you don't have to tune in at Facebook or on YouTube. You can just go to our website to watch and then you'll see what's on sale. So let's go ahead and take a look at that fun video again. Okay, and on October 17th, Ashley Jones will be back for her Software Success. That's on Tuesday, October 17th. She's going to be doing part 4 of the Powerful One. And the Powerful One is Perfect Embroidery Pro. That's our full digitizing software. So if you have that software or you're interested in learning about digitizing software, tune in on October 17th. You're going to learn an awful lot from Ashley. Boy, she is just a very talented lady, and she's always willing to share everything she knows about the software with all of you, which is awesome. If you want to know when we're going live next, please subscribe to YouTube, our YouTube channel, and like us on Facebook. When you do that, that tells us that you want more of this education. And it also encourages us to, get creative and bring you new material. So please do that. We would really appreciate it. And On October 12th, now that's next Thursday, Gloria Cardoza is going to be back with me. Many of you remember she taught us about organizing our digital files. Well, she's also an avid costume maker. I mean, she's a sewist for sure. She makes gorgeous garments, and she's going to share continuous embroidery and costume embroidery with Gloria. So join us. I'll be with her. We'll have a lot of fun. I know, they're super fun. Let's see. And coming up after that, well, it's time for the On the House design. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you've been stitching. Well, before I reveal that, I'd like to answer Linda Allard. She wants to know, how do you know where to start the tape on the hoop when you're applying it? Well, Linda, we have a great tutorial on that, both video and PDF lesson on how to apply those rulers. And it's really very simple. We have a digital file, which is a crosshair that you just stitch on hoop stabilizer and use that as the guide for attaching those adhesive centering guides on your hoop. So check the box. If you just purchased your hoop, the information is in there. It sends you to a link on our website. There's a QR code and all that. And it's also over on my blog right there. They're telling you here, this is where you can get all that information and where to download those designs. So super easy to use, and it's not really about where you start the tape. It's the center, goes in the center and out. So yeah. Okay, so let's see. And Marcia says, wanted to thank you for the lessons that came with the software. She's doing them one by one, and things are finally clicking for me. Love that. Glad to hear that, Marcia. We put a lot of heart and soul into all of our education here. And I just wanted to let's see, shout out Betty Coley. She says she can't say enough good things about Ashley. Ashley is so talented and generous with her knowledge. She is. And boy, we're lucky to have her for sure. And Julianne, you appreciate Gloria's tips. Wait till you see what we learn from her next week. Oh my goodness. And she's just so talented. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of great talent here for sure. So I know you're all waiting. Well, it is still a Monster Mash, and it's getting closer to Halloween. So we're still in that mood. We have a new set of witches boots. This time they're kind of a funkier style, and they've got stars on the sock. So I think you'll have a lot of fun with that. We did use our Wicked Wonder, the HTV collection of Halloweenish type materials, but you don't have to. But if you purchase that, then you'll be able to use some of those things. So super fun. And so I hope to see you back here next week with Gloria. We're going to have a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me today, and take care for now.